Are you ready, Mr. Producer?
Yes, then maybe turn it a little bit like
Are we
this.
off and running here?
Okay.
Well, good morning, Antelope Valley. I'm Marva Greenleaf. Sitting next to me is Roxy Patterson. We're a couple of citizens here in the Antelope Valley High Desert. We have an amazing show. We're a continuation of mothers and concerned citizens about the labeling of GMO products in our food supply. And Pam Larry, who's one of the co-founders of the Proposition 37 grassroots effort last year, she's going to be in-house here at the Whole Beatery and joining us. So it's very invigorating. We're just in a love fest wherever we go. Couldn't have this rowing our boat gently down the stream without our sponsors. We sit here at the Whole Beatery. Cheryl so lovingly welcomes us and gives us a free platform. On the air TV, Glow, you glow for us all the way over here on the West Coast. Antelope Valley Florist, also AV Nice. We know that we're building an amazing community throughout the Antelope Valley. Avens Furniture, Antelope Valley Christian School, Bob Finberg at Lancaster Insurance, and Home Base Realty. You're going to want to know the Haskells at Home Base Realty. So, and a new member is Wayne and Dave's Automotive. Thank you both for believing in us and trusting in what we bring to not only our community but to the world at large. Healthy, wealthy, and wise, oh Roxy. And if we have our health, we have our wealth, and we exercise our wisdom to navigate this. So tell me, my friend, what's on your heart?
Oh, there's so many things on my heart. One of them is a fundraiser we're doing next Friday. And there's 3 local artists that are participating in this. It's going to be a very artistic evening. Edwin Vasquez, some of you have probably heard him. Ramon Ramirez and Sergio Hernandez, who does cartoon work, and he's published in the Valley Press. All these people are doing an effort for what we call the Friendship Bridge. Friendship Bridge supports Guatemalan indigent women that are Mayan and give them a microloan, which is a mini loan that they pay back in a small amounts. We give them a small loan, they pay it back, and we give them more if they want. We have over 95% success rate in the payback. Now that's a good thing. These Mayan women are hard workers. They work with textiles, they work in the field. We often buy some of their textiles, and we have some of the stuff that we will have here this evening, and we'll be selling some of their works. Beautiful colors. If you like colors, very bright and prevalent colors, you can come and see some of what we call their tippy cut. There's going to be some basket raffles. There's going to be some food there. Music. We're going to be serenaded. It's like, what else could you ask for a Friday evening?
But that's not tomorrow. That's June the 21st.
June the 21st. There's a $15 charge. You can pay at the door. You can contact me, and I can sell you a ticket. Or there's a couple other people that can sell you tickets. I don't know if anybody knows Ricky Perkins or Chisi Davidson or Jane So. They also have tickets. But if you can't contact us or don't know how, then you can go there. The address?
This is what the flyer you will see around the community. It's an artistic evening on June the 21st. 3 local artists who we're very proud of, and we want to see more. And then we create these bridges all around the globe. It's heart to heart connected. What I know as a woman who's put on her big girl panties many a time is that when women flourish in their communities, then the whole world will flourish. That's how potent and powerful we are. And indigenous women, they take it from the roots, from the dirt. From the berries. They just are blooming where they're planted, and they deserve our support. And these little microloans, when we're talking a microloan, we're talking a $50 loan.
Sometimes as low as that, sometimes $500 or less. It starts small, then we can give them more as they pay back. Another thing I didn't mention is they have to go to a class, and they teach each other things like business savvy, so they know what to do and how to react as far as selling and the good market value, those kind of things. Other things, some of these women actually work up into the charity itself and become bill collectors. If the people don't come to the class, they'll go out into the community and find out what's wrong, why they don't have their money.
Yeah, it's
and
holding
get
each
their
other
money.
accountable.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
wonderful. And the overhead is really low. They have a basis in Colorado Springs, and I hope they're not affected by the fire. I don't know. But there's only like 6 paid staff there. The rest are all down in Guatemala doing the work, what needs to be done.
And it doesn't take a lot to bloom and to just be able to invigorate these small little microcosms of communities that are struggling to continue to feed themselves in a natural order. And out of that comes this amazing artwork, and their hearts are put into their baskets and their blankets and their paints and just anything that our local artists are aware of, and then create this friendship bridge.
It's
Bravo.
it's a nice. It's my way of getting connected to the rest of the world. I like to work with the community, but working with the rest of the world makes you feel connected to the World Wide Web, which isn't the web; it's real people.
It is real people, this march against Monsanto. My first awakening was right here in our own state with Proposition 37 and jumping on board to just educate people why it's so urgent for us to know what's in our food supply. And then it went to the global with March Against Monsanto International, and to be able to be friends with the president of the Holocaust Memorial Society in Serbia, who was only able to get out 8 photographs. And one of them was March Against Monsanto in front of the McDonald's there in their little community of Serbia, and only having that amount of free press. So social media has forever changed our world, and we are so invigorated to be a part of it. You'll see more and more spilling in because we have such a great show. Roxy and I have kicked it off. Jim, would you like to show Rosalind's video now?
I would want you to slow back on that.
Okay, we just spent 4 days in Sonora and Jamestown off of the 99, and you have to go through the San Joaquin Valley, Bakersfield, Delano, Fresno. And that's where you see all of the mono growing, the mono cropping, the gigantic tanks of whatever is in those gigantic tanks. And it's agribusiness. It's big business. And we're all about understanding and discovering our farmers, because those are the ones we want to give our support to and applause to. It's community at its best, sustainability at its best. We spent 4 days, Jamestown, Sonora. It was Tuolumne County, which is a series of little towns. Mayberry is next to Mayberry, is next to Mayberry, is next to Mayberry. And did you go over and see Mayberry? Because they're right over there. And all along the way, it's the most authentic, down-to-earth people who are just doing the best right there. There was no cell service, and we were able to unplug for 4 days, as Jim already had a 1.5 year transplantation right there. So he knew all of the contacts for us. This is Rosalind Cover of Cover's Apple Ranch, connecting heart to heart with the rest of us.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much.
Okay, right.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we
yeah.
live simply so that others may simply live.
There you go.
So I know we have that in common.
Yeah.
And there's so many of us in the world that have this in common.
Oh, yeah.
But we're not going to get it through our mainstream media.
Right.
They're going to try to keep us on the consumerism
Okay.
end of
Yeah.
it. So that's kind of what we want to steer away from and just stay connected to the divinity,
Okay.
which is what we all came to do, Rosalind. Here we are. I'm Marva Greenleaf. This is Cover Orchards Farm.
Cover's Apple Ranch.
Cover's Apple Ranch, and we've discovered Rosalind already because I walked right by. These are plants to put in your own little garden. I know in my garden, in my front yard, my edible garden, I wanted 2 cherry tomato plants. It's part of my comfort food from my youth, and I know how prolific and grandchildren love to pluck their own cherry tomatoes. Rosalind, tell me more about the Cover Apple Ranch.
So it was bought, I don't even know how many years ago, by the Cover family. And it's 6 brothers that co-bought it, and then just all us children. I'm actually a daughter of one of the sons. And we just work here, and we make pies, turnovers, all sorts of other stuff.
Delectables.
Yes.
Sweet
Yeah.
treats, simple pleasures.
Yeah.
Just to sweeten the world up a little bite at a time.
Yep, for sure.
Apple crisp is on my to-do list
Okay.
before we leave.
That is a popular one.
So you're third generation
Yes.
Cover, and it's a family operation.
Family owned, family operated. We
And-
do have a few people that work here that aren't family members, but we like them. So
Well, sure,
Yeah.
because the more the merrier.
Right,
Is
exactly.
God's abundance and how we grow one another. The community that we build to sustain ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the joy, the heart-planted sustainability. And it begins with learning how to grow your own food, feed yourself, know your farmers. You know what I just read yesterday, Rosalind?
What?
Well, we need a politician once in our life. We need a policeman once in our life. We need a doctor once in our life. We need an attorney once in our life. But we need a farmer 3 times a day, 7 days a week. That is the bones, the connection with the earth, the ones that connected with their hearts.
There you go.
It's not complicated.
There you go.
So, can I end this Young Love After 50 with Rosalind here, Cover Apple Ranch in, what's the town? Columbia?
No, it's Tuolumne.
It is Tuolumne.
Tuolumne, yep.
Okay,
Yep,
Tuolumne. I'm
Tuolumne.
learning more every day as we discover Tuolumne County. Thank you. Come have some apple crisp with us.
Okay, here you go.
Oh, look what I have. This is what we're doing this for, isn't it, Kristen?
Absolutely.
This is Enzo, and he is not a Monsanto guinea pig. Kristen, a wonderful citizen in our Antelope Valley,
Thank you.
participating with educating the public. Tell us what happened to you this past Monday.
Okay, I recently received an email from Institute of Responsible Technology, and it said, have you been affected by genetically modified organisms? If so, how did it affect you? What capacity? So I sent them a little blurb about, I was in a GMO-free environment when I lived in Northern California, so I wasn't exposed to these things. And then I joined the Air Force. And then I had nothing but canned, preserved, frozen, you name it, sludge, whatever it is, that's all I ate. Started getting very sick. Started getting horrible allergies. Got compacted sinuses all the way across. Couldn't breathe. Had migraines. Actually passed out a couple times. Got hospitalized. They said, why don't you go ahead and live on prednisone? And I said, no, how about I research this myself? And I thought, well, what changed? What changed? And I started thinking about it. Well, I never used to eat frozen, canned, preserved. I always had farmer's market foods, free-range chicken, And then I started thinking, wow, that GMO thing they were talking about, it's real. They really do put that in the food supply. And then I thought, okay, well, we'll try it out. We'll go back to our roots to Sonoma County. We'll start the organic food back up. 2 months, everything was done, gone, boom, completely healthy, fine, perfect pregnancy. I'm able to run again, no allergies, everything's great. And so for me, that's my personal example. And so now Enzo, he's going to be raised on that same thing I was raised on because now I know the dangers. Now I know it's real. And so while he's not Monsanto's guinea pig, I was. And as their guinea pig, I want to let you know, don't eat the feed, people. Don't do it. It's not worth it, okay? And one thing I want to say, this is a really good example from yesterday. I was out in town. I was hungry. I thought, I'll get some Burger King. I'll get a sandwich from a sandwich shop. Don't do it. I go to the sandwich shop. I'm looking in the window there, and they have all the meats on display. Gray and white blob turkey breast. Not a turkey breast. And I thought, this isn't what I cook at home. Turkey breast this big. No. That's not right. It says filled with water, saturated in dextrose. That's not a turkey, people. So I walked out and I went to Sharky's because guess what? That's what you should be eating. If you look at it and it looks like God's green earth and the animals on it, okay, eat it. If you look at it and it's a big gray and white blob of mass from a lab, leave it alone.
Well, this is what I discovered as we just are stepping further and further into greater health, because I've been a consumer of organic foods ever since before I even became pregnant the first time, because I too, and it was birth control that was just whacking me out, and all kinds of things that were just supposed to be acceptable
Absolutely.
for us. I'm like, wait a minute. I think I can birth my babies at home.
Absolutely.
I think I can nurse my babies, and I think I can feed them well until they become savvy enough to know that a tofu dog is not a regular hot dog, and carrot juice and pizza. Really, most people don't have that together, but and that's the way we educate the next generation. It's not about the toys that you get when you go, it's the quality of the food that you are consuming. You feel better. And it will help to clear out all of your healing mechanisms, all the way through your instrument, which is your body. And then as we align and correct our own health and well-being, we're able to pass that on to the next generation.
Absolutely.
It's a quality of life that's been overlooked and diminished, and truly it's a disempowerment of all of us, especially women. Men are disempowered in their own way, but we especially are disempowered in the birthplace. We're disempowered in our educational system because we're not told that we have options. That if our children are having school breakfasts or school lunches, they have to have the same poor quality of food that is in our hospitals, that are in the prisons, that are in our military, that are in our nursing homes. This is the egregious, reprehensible profit over people mentality. And it's woven so deeply in our society. We've just begun the conversation to take it all the way back into a whole new world, a whole new understanding of respecting one another,
Absolutely.
respecting our Mother Earth.
Now, let's have a recap what's happening next week.
Oh, the Palmdale Peaceful Gathering?
All right, now, I'm sure you guys have heard all about March Against Monsanto that happened May 25th worldwide. Well, that wasn't enough. So we're going to keep doing it every month because we want change. And I think the best way to make change happen is to be the change you wish to see in the world. A la Gandhi.
Amen.
So, in the AV, and being AV nice, as we all want to be, we are going to keep marching and having potlucks and family time and spreading the word and letting people know that this is possible. So, supporting your neighbors like Holland Ranch and some of these other people, good people,
Yes.
hardworking people. Give them your money.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same amount if you go to the grocery store as if you go to the farmer's market.
Actually, it's even less expensive because as I've learned as we've adjusted our food budget, most of us are spending our food dollars on meats. And these meats, the livestock is, here you go, darling. The livestock is eating the same feed as they're feeding us human beings. So our chickens are plump, our beef is plump, our pork is plump, our fish is plump. And guess what? We have a plump society. It's called obesity. And then we're shamed and blamed because we can't self-regulate, because what the food source is the very thing that's making us ill and sickening us. So as we have eliminated the food, the meat and the dairy, our food costs, even though the quality continues to climb, our food costs are reducing 60%. Now, that just turns me on that I can feed myself even better, which is what my doctor wants me to do, to be more responsible with my own health and well-being, while reducing my food cost. That is the biggest horn to blow, because all of us are concerned about our quality of our food and our food costs. You can get as much soda as you want for $1. Go get as much soda as you want for $1. It's going to cost you $2 for a bottle of water. Really, do you want to go into that establishment?
We have to go to commercial, and we're going to go visit Wolf Blitzer, who did a national story on the powerhouse fire and how our local insurance guy, Lancaster Insurance. Okay?
Yes, more local news. That just came on us last week.
And who's going to be on when we come back?
Pam, Larry?
Yeah.
That turns me on, too.
Okay, so what are we doing?
Young Love After 50, we're going on into Lancaster Insurance. Bob Finberg, one of our insurance gurus, really our insurance guru in the Antelope Valley. Powerhouse fire, it was right in our own backyard. Okay, everybody, hot.
To Southern California, where a wildfire is raging right now as well. At least 29,000 acres are scorched. As many as 1,000 homes have been threatened. It's in the Palmdale area that's north of Los Angeles. CNN's Dan Simon is on the scene for us. Dan, what's the latest? Set the scene for us.
Well, hi, Wolf. This is one of the half-dozen homes destroyed by this wildfire. You can see all the charred debris behind me. You can also see all this charred vegetation, all these charred trees and bushes. As you said, this fire consumed nearly 30,000 acres. It was a fast-growing blaze that put a lot of people and homes at risk.
The flames were 200 feet high. It was horrible. We couldn't breathe. It was nothing but smoke.
More than 2,000 firefighters are now fighting this massive fire that doubled in size within 24 hours.
I lost everything I own. I don't have any resources to rebuild my things over again.
Monique Hernandez was not one of the lucky ones. She lost her home, but hundreds of properties have been saved. Firefighters using every tool in their arsenal to fight this fire on land and by air around the clock.
We have put everything that we have into this, including night air attack.
The weekend's winds really complicated the efforts, as did the terrain, which is steep and rugged.
And this is an extremely old and dry fuel, 1929. That's how old that chaparral is.
The outlook is ominous. Take a look at this National Fire Interagency map. Almost the entire state of California is above normal for potential wildfire threat.
This summer we're going to have a very volatile fire season. Our fuel moistures typically don't get to the critical stages until the fall when we have Santa Ana wind events. But we project that those fuels will be at that critical state no later than July this summer.
Hi, good morning. This is Bob Finberg, Lancaster Insurance Services. We are your local independent insurance agents. I urge you, give me a call. Let's talk about your homeowners insurance. Let's talk about coverages in general. When we get to talking about homeowners insurance, my automatic response is to let's talk about whatever insurance you have. Let's talk about whether the coverages you have are adequate. Let's help you understand what you do have. Most people buy homeowners insurance. It gets stuffed away somewhere. They never thinking about it. They don't think about it anymore. The insurance companies are paid often by the mortgage company or an impound account, so people don't look at their homeowner policy. They don't review it. This is the time. This is a great time to do it. Even if you don't live in a fire area, these things can happen to anyone. Please give me a call. I'm Bob Finberg. We are Lancaster Insurance Services, 661-726-1337. Feel free to come in and see us. We have a staff of agents here to help you. We're here Monday to Friday from 9 until 5. We'll meet you by appointment. If those hours don't work, just call in and set up an appointment. Be glad to see you. Hope your home was not damaged, but we would love to review your insurance. Give us a call, okay? Bob Finberg, Lancaster.
Oh, here we're back again in the whole weedery this morning, invigorated, enlivened, awake, alert, alive, and I'm sitting next to Pam Larry, who traveled from Chico, California, is your home. Mm-hmm. Pam, tell us, what in the world are you doing?
Well, I call myself the initial instigator for Proposition 37, which happened last year here in California, to label genetically engineered foods. And although it didn't pass last fall, it actually catalyzed a tremendous amount of activity around labeling around the country. And so we've got states, I don't know if you've talked about this already today, but Connecticut passed and Maine passed, and they're just waiting on the governor to sign their legislation to label GMOs, and they've both said that they will sign. Massachusetts is getting involved. Washington State has a ballot initiative that's being voted on this fall. And in California, we're talking about doing another ballot initiative for 2014. So our groups, my job as the initial instigator and chief rabble-rouser for Prop 37 was to travel around the state, and I would be able to come in contact with these amazing people from all over the state and be able to get to know them. And they also, this is what started this whole thing. I might have been the first person, but it's really how all of us came together and said yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, activated by the sacred yes is what I call it, Pam. Because we know we need that higher source, that higher power.
Definitely.
We certainly need that. And for Cheryl, who owns the whole weedery and she's been in business for 30 years, and her heart's been fully planted here for 30 years. My heart's been fully planted in the Antelope Valley for 26 years. But forever voting with my dollars with the organic foods and supporting our farmers, and Cheryl too. So, 25 years later, you know this, now it's just this timeliness, March Against Monsanto came forward, internationally, social media,
Right, social media.
because the big resounding silence during the May 25th march against Monsanto was such an awakening for all of us.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was really blatantly clear that they don't have an interest in covering this except for the industry talking points.
Oh, yes. And of course, the way you know it is because they call us consumers, and it's all about the profits and monocropping and really not even just total disregard of what you're doing to your neighbor. The air contamination, the rain washing of down, the all of these chemicals. And so it's been this unbridled greed, more, and the definition of insanity is to keep doing what's not working.
Yes.
If it was working, we wouldn't be having this conversation, but it ain't working.
Yeah, it's really not. And talking about the soil, how they're killing the soil, like definitely killing the soil. The soil is also one of the major components that sequesters carbon dioxide and turns it into oxygen. Plants are dying more. They have to add more and more chemicals on there. There are papers out talking about how this system cannot sustain. It cannot keep going. And I don't know how many of you are watching, but as we speak right now, the G8 is in the UK, in Ireland actually, talking about basically what the folks in Africa are talking, the new colonialism, where they're coming in, they are forming, instead of just providing aid and support through nonprofit organizations, they are now going in, and religious groups of faith, they are now doing corporate government partnerships to basically take over all the small farmers in Africa and require that, just like in India and other places where they've gone, that they buy the seeds that are so much more expensive and that they cannot save and reuse, and that they have to have all these chemical inputs. It's just really a travesty. What's going on around?
Yeah, and it's been really, Monsanto's been it was since 1901, and it's the unbridled greed that's not only the destructive of our food source, but it's also all the weaponry that's used to contribute to the devastation, and then the veil of illusion that this healthcare system that they're trying so hard to hold on to is non-functioning, and it's a part of that twisted thinking as well. Heavy dependency on pharmaceuticals. We never had compressed, tablet-formed medicines before. It was always indigenous. It was within our communities, and we had our healers who knew where the roots were and the bark was and the leaves were, and they were the ancient knowledge that would be able to truly right the system. So all of these illusions, these grand illusions of success, to me, not my definition of success.
Well, this morning for me, when I was driving up here, because I've been staying in Los Angeles, is this realization that we have been given, and we have co-created, and we have this amazing planet. And the whole thing comes from this basic premise that somehow it isn't good enough, and somehow it has to be changed, and somehow we have to fight nature instead of learning how to work with nature and with the planet, this planet that has sustained us and helped us grow and flourish. And what I really love is, when they call us Luddites, that the fact that we don't like science, and that is not true. We like science. We like science that is life affirming.
And the scientists are going, right. I mean, they're all blowing the horn, saying money is not going to improve the quality of our lives.
Right, exactly. And money is bastardizing some science. I mean, a lot of most of the science out there that's happening and talking. I've learned so much in this that I thought I knew, but I didn't know. But just how talking to Ignacio Chapela, who is in the movie The Future of Food and has done quite a bit of research on the corn in Mexico. He was telling us just how corporations have basically bought UC Berkeley and through their large endowments, and now they sit on the board determining the curriculums. So it's like, these young people go there and they learn all of the party lines, and then they just spew them out. It's a very clever plan to indoctrinate the youth to think a certain way. And science, if you're only using science, I think my degree is in religious studies, so I've always seen things like philosophy and science as a form of religion. They're their own religions, science in particular is a way, because if you look at it, it's like how you answer the big questions is what I look at as of religion. And science tries to do that. Why are we here? You find that if you go to quantum physics, they're coming back around to what all the mystics have been saying for millennia. But if but they're incorporating more than just their
intelligentsia,
the
their
rational
analytical
thinking.
valve. Yes. And then, of course, it becomes a fear, the teaching tool of fear.
Exactly.
Because it ties into their lifestyle, which is quite fluffed up because they're spewing the party line. And then it becomes, the 1% is anxious and the 99% is frustrated.
Right.
Because we are not, the lack of willingness to come together heart to heart and human to human, because I challenge our own Commander-in-Chief and First Lady that their garden on the White House lawn is organic. I would eat your vegetables because I know it'd be the highest quality food that's on the planet, and because it shows in you. It shows in your children. It shows in us when we have a vitality and a quality of life. And then it also shows in the sickness of our population, because so few even understand the lack of quality in their life. While there's so many, not so many, but another few that are trying to profit continually, and it's a global epidemic.
But the really wonderful thing is the shifting. It's the shift. I was talking with the person who's helped me the most, and her name's Stacy, and we were talking about how she's like, well, why, blah, blah. I'm like, it is changing.
It is.
It is changing.
We feel it. We know it.
And it's just we who are in the middle of it want it now, because we've been doing it for a while. We want it now. And we forget that we live in this place of space and time. And things are evolving. It's just they're not happening fast enough for us. So rather than focusing on the fact that they're not happening fast enough, I would like to encourage us all. And I do this all the time, because part of it is about looking at the truth. And so sometimes the stuff is pretty alarming. But it's only when we look at the truth that we finally shift within ourselves and decide to get up and do something about it. And every time each one of us stands up, every one that is added to the whole stands up and adds to it, the more powerful we are and the faster we automatically create the shift. I've been told that there are over 8,000 people on this right now, probably all around the country. There are groups that are working on this in every state across this country, and in Hawaii, they're in Canada, they're in South America, they're all over the place. You can contact me at labelgmos.org. Just do the contact there. I get all those emails, and I will I will connect you with your local groups, with your states. Some states are still working on legislation. Some are just beginning and building their grassroots group. Every time a new person is added, you touch more people. It's so exciting to see this going on.
We call it be the virus.
Yeah, be
we're
the virus.
We're the
I love
virus.
that.
We're the infection. We are the infection, and we're activated by the sacred yes. And we know that what we're asking for is what each and every one of us deserve. So why not just stay optimistic? And, through my growth, and letting go of this thing called time, it really stepped me into eternity. And to know that we have an open-ended amount of time and opportunities, miracles that can happen instantaneously. And this is how the shift happens. But it's the power of one. And when I was stepping out, understanding how to reclaim my personal power and where I was being disempowered and who I was giving my trust to, who wasn't worthy of my trust. As I came deeper understanding in that, the power of one, then I was able to align with someone else who also had empowered himself. And then it is the most potent energy, divine, and it's the great company on the journey. We see this no matter where we are. It's a love fest. And people are very hungry.
They are. And
very hungry. And this food that we're told is food will not satisfy us. It won't, because it's not designed to complement us cellularly. It's meant to manipulate us cellularly. There's the difference.
That's very powerful and very true. I was listening yesterday to a show where someone was talking about an experiment they do with 3 seeds. One seed they plant and they think all sorts of negative thoughts. Then the second one that they think all sorts of loving thoughts. And the third one they plant and they're just neutral. And the one, of course, that was planted with loving thoughts thrives. The one that was planted with negative thoughts gets ill and has a difficult time, and then the one that's planted, just kind of does something in between. But I also want to share with you that a lot of you might be depressed out there because it is a grieving process that we go through when we wake up and we realize what's happening to our planet and our food and our water and our air.
We want to think someone out there is really looking out for us.
Right.
Yeah, we have that basic desire. And then
the realization, and then we actually go through the grieving process of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And my anger was so fierce that what triggered 37 was my anger, and which I then put inward because I believed I was powerless, became depression, and I became catatonic. But I have to tell you that the inspiration for 37 came down to me all at once one morning, and when I was in that hover state. So what I'm trying to tell you, I'm bringing this up though, is to tell you that since that moment, I have not been depressed. I have been angry, I have been, frustrated, I have been all sorts of things, but I have not been depressed. Mm-hmm. So, and because it's fun, and I feel like I'm doing something finally.
It's purposeful.
It is, it's fun.
It's so purposeful, and you get the best company along the journey, which just makes it worth every tear. And then by sharing, the stories and the fear and the radical honesty of our emotions. Mm-hmm. Because grief isn't just in the form of death. Grief comes and visits us many times, and that too is a demon. Once we release that, the liberation that comes, spiritual liberation, when you just decide you're not going to repress, suppress, depress your own intuitive knowing, your own innate wisdom. That is one of the mechanisms that's inherent in our being. So as we release that, no more suppression. Don't even purchase cough suppressants, cough repressants, because it's all diminishing and layering what's going on. We liberate it and we experience the freedom and the joy.
And the funny thing is that all that negativity takes a tremendous amount of energy to keep in place. And once we release it, we have an exponential positive force that just comes out through us and connects. I mean, when we first started this, I was calling all the groups hives. And I love that concept of all these worker bees coming together and creating this hive kind of in cooperation and love and working in partnership. And we've maintained that kind of energy throughout the state of California at our grassroots level. It's been so rewarding seeing our group doesn't have huge infighting. It doesn't have, this is not to say we don't have bumps and jiggles because it's part of being human. But, we have somehow been able to look at the larger picture, look at our stuff, and come back together very quickly, like within a very short amount of time. And the communities that we're creating around the state, and then the larger community around we have the individual communities around the state, then we have the state community, and now this is happening all across our country. It's been happening in other countries for a long time, and that's another thing that's been so exciting about this, is to realize that we are now part of this global thing. I mean, the March Against Monsanto just was like so synchronistic.
Yes, synchronistic is the word. That's how we know we're being led by the heart. Mm-hmm, yeah. We can see all the little segue and the dovetails and how it can. None of us thought that. I never knew Pam Larry until Brittany Holland said you're going to be here.
Oh, cool, cool.
And then through the internet, I got to see your willingness to talk about the grief that's inherent in the process.
It is inherent, and it's an important piece. It's an important piece to tell the truth to ourselves, because if we bury, that's when we start doing all those kinds of behaviors that are like buying ourselves French fries from McDonald's that contain GMOs and trans fats.
The hidden agenda, and
keeping it stuffed.
It's stuffing it down instead of liberating it.
I'd like to ask,
sure.
the extent of the movement that's happening now, isn't it because of the internet, because of social networking that we're able to do this?
I think so. I think that's a huge piece of it, and I think that this is the way it disseminates to places where we don't know. I mean, I used Facebook originally to start to reach out. It's how I came in contact with Stacy, and it continues on. And I would also like to caution us not to stay there, because it's also about looking in each other's eyes.
Well, love is action.
Exactly, and connecting and hugging each other. and getting out on the streets and going and talking to people who aren't on the internet.
And share food, break bread together.
Exactly.
It's amazing how healing that is, just to break bread together. Palmdale Peaceful Gathering is happening June 22nd. We're hoping that to be a monthly event. The city of Palmdale has been so warm and welcoming for us as a peaceful gathering right there at Marie Care Park. We're starting at 10 in the morning, and it's going to be a march and a vegan potluck afterward with a potting station. Completely family event. The first time we expected 20 people, and over 200 showed up.
Okay.
So that's how people are so hungry for this kind of information and camaraderie. And I love the timeliness of it. It's what I call divine timing. Divine guidance, divine protection for certain. Divine protection.
Speaking of divine timing, Cheryl Hughes is going to join us after the commercial, so these two can chat for the first time.
Oh,
Give a little background on
fabulous.
Cheryl Hughes.
Well, yes, Pam, I told you Cheryl Hughes has created the whole meadery here, and she's been the mother, the queen of it for 30 years now. We just celebrated her 30th anniversary here. And I moved here 26 years ago and immediately aligned with her because I knew I needed a source for my own self and my own family. And so we've just been growing each other really good. She's given me the voice. Lord knows. This one's given me the microphone. She's given me the microphone. So God bless us all. But I'm going to step aside and let Pam Larry get to know Cheryl Hughes.
Well, wait. But first, let's go to a tape piece. Let's go to what's happening in our valley with Antelope Valley Christian Schools for Kingdom for Kids.
Oh, the summer camp.
Yes.
Okay, you can toss that in there. Hi.
You can come on in over there. Yeah, sure.
Come on in, have a seat.
Go ahead. You going to say that?
Oh.
And then I'm going to go to it. Did I lose you?
All right, Antelope Valley Christian School is having their summer camp, Wild About Jesus, the Kingdom Kids, and it's in 2 weeks in this month. So check out this video and activate yourself by the sacred yes. Hello, Antelope Valley and beyond. We are here at the Antelope Valley Christian School, and we know so much of summer fun is with summer camps. You have a summer camp happening right here at Antelope Valley Christian School.
Yes, we do.
Would you introduce yourselves and tell us?
Okay. Hi. First of all, I would like to say hello to all of you parents and you students out there. My name is Mrs. Broadway. We're here at Antelope Valley Christian School. We're so excited to present to you our 2013 Fun in the Sun Summer Camp. But before I go on to tell you more about that, I would like to introduce my next coming up runner, which would be our next coordinator for Antelope Valley Christian School.
I'm Miss Wood, Heather Wood, but everyone's going to call me Miss Wood. I'm excited. The Lord has blessed me so much. Just diving into this program, I'm excited what the Lord's going to do during the summer, the fun trips, the fun cooking lessons, everything that we're going to learn. I'm really excited, and I can't wait for summer to start.
Well, there's room for every kid in the kingdom. And when you get that fertilized soil that blooms us all so well, and we know this is divine, this is what God gives us, this is what Jesus gives us. We're wild about Jesus.
Yes.
Because he
Yes.
is the one that leads us to the kingdom.
Yes.
So we thank Jesus and God for his opportunities and growing us so well right here in the Antelope Valley. Fun on the sun. We're going to do that this summer?
Right.
Yeah!
Last year, I remember something that was so fun. We got to go in a room and they would start songs and we got to sing for Jesus. And it was really fun.
And the Lord has blessed us with this school and the things that we have now.
I would like to say that we have themed our program this year, Kingdom Kids, where kids are wild about Jesus. And we're so excited about it. Our fun in the sun, our fun in the S-O-N. Jesus Christ, our personal Lord and Savior. We love him so much, and we're going to have a great time in him. Now, this is a 9-week program, and it starts June the 17th through August the 16th. And this is going to be Monday through Friday from 9 to 3 p.m. Okay?
This is what we like to do. We like to have a fun time playing with our friends in the water. We love to go to Dry Town, and we love to play with our water slide over there right next to our gym. And we love to play with our friends, have fun, laugh, and play.
This year we have grades 1 through 2nd, and this is Camp Royalty. Now we know that the Bible tells us that God sees us as kings and queens unto himself. And so that's why we named that camp Camp Royalty. And we have camp grades 3 through 4, and this is Camp VIP, and how God sees us as very important people to himself. And we are really going to push into the hearts of the kids to see themselves as God sees them this summer. And then we also have grades 5 through 8, Camp Camp CEO, one of the greatest executive branches there is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be a CEO is a leader. We're growing leaders at this community right here.
Yes, we are. Mm-hmm. And how God sees us. God has seated us in. He has seated us in the most prestigious seats in the kingdom. And we're so excited about teaching the biblical principles to the children of God, and how they're going to grow and how they're going to be challenged to not only just take the word of God in, but to take it and then give it to their parents and their friends and all their peers, and so that we can all be beacons of light.
That's the truth.
Here in the valley, and to take it out to the world.
So we thank you for being a part of it. Come and participate, grow yourself well. See what's happening right here at Antelope Valley Christian School. It's for all ages. It's preschool all the way through senior and high school, and it's just such fertile soil for the soul, for the spirit, for the individual right here in the Antelope Valley. We thank them for being a part of it.
We just want to say we're in here fun in the sun, and on Fridays we get to go to field trips to Magic Mountain, Dry Town, swimming, and a lot of field trips, going to the movies. We have a lot of fun in the sun. So we just want to say, come to Fun in the Sun. Bye. Fun in the Sun!
All right, we're back here. Young Love After 50, our live today, AV. Cheryl Hughes. Hello. That owns the Whole Wheater, and Pam Larry. Right. They're going to have a conversation. Enjoy.
Well, Pam, I just want to tell you, thanks so much for all the work that you've been doing. This is an incredibly important thing that's happening in this country today, and it's something that we've been working on for over 2 decades. And I know that the grassroots is what makes things happen. And you have been instrumental in leading those grassroots, and I know how many hours it takes and how much work it is. So I just want to say, you deserve the AV Nice bracelet. Yay! And all of your group for all of their support.
They really did an amazing job here. Yeah.
So what do you see as the next step? Have we talked about this already? Besides Saturday's event, or?
No, we haven't talked about this yet. We have, March Against, the Moms Across America March on the 4th of July.
Okay.
And I think you guys have one going on here
Yes,
in
we
this
do.
community. And what that is it was started by a mom in Orange County who has 3 sons who have allergies, and she's taken this, and she didn't even know about GMOs until last year, at the end of the election, right before the election. And she was so outraged about what she didn't know that she decided that she needed to get moms on board. So she's having this thing or across the country, no matter where you are, you can go to momsacrossamerica.org and you can see where there's a march to join in and spread the word even more. So, and it's a family thing and a lot of fun, and I think that'll be wonderful. A lot of us are talking behind the scenes about doing another ballot initiative here in California. A big one is the funding, of course.
Of course,
and
always.
needing to make sure that we broaden our base of support and not have to rely on the natural food industry, which was a lot of what supported us last time, because they're kind of tapped out. So if there are any people out there that know the big billionaires that know about this issue, have them contact me via labelgmos.org, and we get enough money, we're for sure going forward, get enough commitment. So, and I know we're going to win this time, because what happened a lot last time was that they had a lot of money, but more importantly, a lot of people that could have done more thought that we were going to win. So they thought their work was done, and I was just, a lot of people just were walking around shocked after it lost last time.
Well, in the 11th hour of last year is when
Yes.
they poured in all the money from the opposition, spread all the stories, and that changed everybody's mind at the last second.
Question mark.
And so it just made people like, what do I do? Is this good? Is this bad? They weren't sure. So this time we'll be ready and armed with more information, and I think GMO has become a household word. It was not a household
It was
word.
not.
And just like your mom that started this in Orange County, it's the moms, it's all of us that become aware. And sometimes it's simply awareness, how you make a decision, what you make your decision based on, where your information comes from. And somebody says, oh, hey, did you ever stop and consider about your food? And you think, well, if my food is my food, well, it's not your food. It's where your food is grown from, what it's sourced from, how it gets here. And so all this stuff changes people's dialogue. And I think that's the best part of the initiative, Prop 37, change people's dialogue, opened up their dialogue, gave them an opportunity to become involved and really take a critical position on this.
Right.
Not for you and I, it's for our children's children.
Yeah. And speaking of children, one of the things that I like to stress to moms who are just finding out about this is that, like everything else for a mom, you're overworked, you're overwhelmed, you're overed. And so this might seem like just another thing to stack on your overwhelm. So what I like to suggest is that you take one thing to start. Just take one thing. And I suggest oftentimes that it's the high fructose corn syrup.
Absolutely, I agree.
Right. If you can't do that just yet, start with canola oil. Get rid of your canola oil. It would be better if you got rid of your high fructose corn syrup, but at least start with your canola oil and then jump to the high fructose corn syrup. Take it slow. Go, eliminate one thing at a time, so that it's not overwhelming for you. Because if you take baby steps, it won't seem like that big of a deal. But the biggest piece of this whole issue is women buying, because still 85% of all the food is bought by women. And it's about us making different choices when we go to the grocery store and talking to the grocery store managers, not here, of course, but
no, here, everywhere. Wait a minute, this is everywhere.
Oh, okay, everywhere.
All natural food stores can say what they want to say, but we all know there's leakage everywhere.
Right, got
this is a problem, and people don't raise the question. I mean, when our vendors come in, we have to ask them, is this non-GMO verified? Because if it's not organic, you have to ask that question.
You do.
And people slide things, oh, this tastes great, it sells really well. Well, so what?
Right,
we have to make a conscious decision about that. So it's part of the process, even in natural foods retailers across the United States, is weeding out these companies and saying, this is a great product, but change the source of your corn.
Exactly. And we have to do those kinds of things.
Right.
It's true. I meant at this particular store because of your consciousness.
Well, but yes.
Natural food stores have a tremendous amount of genetically engineered stuff and stuff that we don't really want in our food. That's another whole debate about natural food. But at any rate, getting back to it is just, doing little things. Like my daughter has 2 sons. She can no longer help with, being out on the streets right now. But what she does do is when she has time, she makes phone calls to the companies that she used to buy products from and which she no longer does. She changes her, she swaps things out slowly, little bits at a time. And so I think it's really, really important to realize that any little piece that you do, and every time you raise your voice, one of the most beautiful things I learned about on this campaign is that legislators are afraid of mothers.
Well, they're afraid of people with voices, and mothers are particularly powerful voices because all of the things that come behind them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So you have a lot of say in this, and we can have all the labels we want, but if people don't change their buying behavior and not buy the stuff, then it's just going to stay. So it's really important to make those small changes so that it's not hard on your family, but to make them for the health of your children. There's a new study that was just broadcast on Tuesday that was conducted where they did long-term feeding trials, where they were feeding them the same way they feed on the farms, and those pigs were found to have inflamed stomachs, and the uteri, is that how you actually do it, were larger than normal. And they had this study because they were finding that a lot of the pigs in the Midwest are aborting, or they're having small litters, and they're having like babies. There's no baby in the sack, and this is happening all over the place with the folks who grow hogs. The pigs have a very aggressive behavior. They take them off the GMO feed, and it all goes away.
Wow, amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, imagine that. And look at us. Look at our rates of infertility. Look at our rates of gastrointestinal problems. Look at our rates of having to... I was walking past a museum yesterday about psychiatry, whatever, and it was a negative about psychiatry, and the big poster said that there are like 3,000 prescriptions for like depressants for babies under 1. I mean, I was shocked with this. And this has to do with our food, because the gut and the brain, they're starting to call the gut the second brain. So anyway,
I think it's the first brain, if you want to know the truth, because
Yeah.
sometimes it tells you this one's being stupid. I mean, every
Yeah.
once in a while when it acts out and you don't
It's
feel
true.
good, you
Yeah.
have to start listening to it with your other brain.
Yeah.
So it's really important, and I think that we've seen this in the rise of all of major chronic diseases. We've seen it in the rise of anger and really criminal behavior linked to diet. We've seen it over and over, and there's studies that verify this. We are what we eat. We cannot ever get around that. And if we continue to mutate and change and diminish our food supply, we too will be mutated, changed, and diminished.
We are. We are.
Yes, we are.
True story.
Yeah.
So, and I remember you said that we vote with our dollar.
Absolutely. That's the one thing that I tell everybody. If you don't want something, don't buy it. And if you want it to change, tell all of your friends not to buy it. That's how change comes about. And when you're in restaurants and when you're out to eat, start to ask that question about where does your food source come from? Where's your corn come from? What are you using in this? Because we've seen what's happened with gluten-free foods in restaurants, on airlines, all over the world. So people's demand has changed that and made it on a diet, a normal thing for people to get gluten-free food. Now we have to say, what about GMO foods? What's in the food source that you're buying? We have to always put pressure on the food suppliers, the people that are bringing us food, saying, hey, that's a really great product, but where's your corn from? Hey, that's a really great product, but we don't want this ingredient in that. And that's what you do. Well, I'm not going to buy it because it contains X, Y, or Z. And it's just what you said, one thing at a time, one small change. If you even read just the labels looking for high fructose corn syrup, it'll change your whole world because it's almost inescapable.
Right, and it's bad because it's genetically engineered. It's from a genetically engineered corn, but it's also bad because of what it does to our bodies. You know, the body can't recognize it. It doesn't know what to do with it.
Right.
You know, and so it puffs.
And originally, everybody used fructose, which was really from fruit. That's so long ago, we have no memory of that. So it's sort of morphed into this high fructose, which people think, some people still think there's fruit there. There's no fruit. It comes from corn. Always came from corn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you know, it's just a learning curve, and I think that's the wonderful opportunity we have in this country. We can learn. We can affect legislation. I mean, if you think that one little person or one little thing can't change the world, look at what one mosquito does. Changes the world. So we are all mosquitoes. Our bites, our voices, our buying dollars can change the world. One buy at a time, one purchase at a time, one bite at a time.
Yeah. And joining with folks of a like mind, and realizing that you have a lot of support out there, even though you may not feel it in this moment within maybe your family. It might be a little bit of resistance. You know, I know a lot of women talk about, well, I eat really cleanly, but my husband doesn't. And, you know, I've heard that if you get your guy, women out there, if you get your guy to watch a movie called Genetic Roulette, which you can watch online, that sometimes flips people and makes the husbands know that that come up with this feeling of the need to protect their family instead of it just being another, whatever, crazy person.
Well, generally, if you cook it, they will eat it. So you don't really have to have the dialogue initially. They'll like the food, and then you can talk about what you've changed in the food. Because sometimes that's how people change other people's diets. So then you have the conversation, well, this is a great meal because I've gone to the trouble to buy you all organic food, and maybe it tastes better. Maybe it's because I put all this love into it. Maybe it's a combination of things. And by the way, did you happen to know what a GMO is? People think it's the same as, I don't know, people think that it's the same as when we used to change seeds, but it's not the same. Mm-hmm. This is a true gene insert. It completely changes the dialogue about everything.
Yeah.
So it's not just a seed that we have hybridized. It's completely different. And I think that's where people's understanding is lost.
Right. And a lot of times people, I don't know if they've talked about the definition here because I came in after the show started, but it's about taking genes from one species and putting them into another in the lab, or extracting certain things from the same species and putting them in a different in the lab. There are new types of genes. They're called dsRNAi or RNAi or dsRNA, and what they do is they switch things on and off instead of, and many people, Jeffrey Smith, talking with him, he's actually more worried about those than he is about the transgenics and the cisgenics, but where they'll go in and they will simply flip one of the genes, and so not understanding what it can do to the whole structure. I mean, this is the thing that drives me crazy, the one gene, one trait thing. It's just a fallacy, and the new science of epigenetics is showing us more and more that it's about the holism and that we don't understand. One of my big things is we don't understand what we don't understand.
Absolutely.
And another thing I like to always bring up when we talk about science is my old bacteria professor 30 years ago, once he said, a scientific fact is one that lasts longer than 3 years. So we can be screamed at all we want about science, but it changes.
Yes, it does.
And that's the nature of science. And our awareness to it, opens up new awareness of things that we didn't think to look for before.
Yep.
So I think it's really important for us to be humble with this technology you know.
Yes, because there are things that it's applicable for that might do
could
some
be.
amazing things for us.
It could be.
But maybe not in our food system today.
Exactly.
And sometimes when people eat a tomato and they say, oh, I can't have tomatoes anymore, could it have been the fish gene that was implanted in the tomato? We don't know. Well, I am allergic to fish. Oh, well, gee, maybe it's really not the tomato then. So it's going to make all these complications that people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll never know what we're really allergic to. And we are seeing food allergies skyrocket.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it goes across all illnesses and everything. And so as we end this today and think about the Palmdale Peaceful Gathering, June 22nd at Marie Claire Park right here in our own community, July 4th, there's all across America. You're going to see moms out in force. I have my red apron. It just makes sense to me to wear a red apron. So we're just begun. We've only just begun, haven't we? We'll come back again. But for now, Pam, Larry, we're going to let you go on with your day.
Thank you so much.
Chris Spiker, AV Nice, it's Father's Day, so we want to put in a video and just lift up all the fathers in the world. We couldn't be mothers without our fathers.
That's true.
That's
Thank
true.
you guys.
Yay.
Thank you guys.
Stage fright?
Hi, Jim. Hey, let's talk about Father's Day. Come on up here. Get close.
Okay.
Well, you were asking me about flowers for Dad. Of course, flowers for Dad. And in some situations, Dad's not with us anymore.
That's my situation.
He's passed. And so he could be at the cemetery, either in a traditional grave. So there's either a cup in the ground there, or we send this little flower pick along. Aloha.
Hi.
And so this goes into the lawn.
Right.
In your case, your dad is in a mausoleum. So he's
Right.
got a little urn cup. It's probably about 4 or 5 inches tall, made of brass.
Right.
It's not very tall. It's not very large. And so we're going to make a little wrap bouquet of dad-type flowers.
Because
And
he was
I'm thinking-
cremated.
Yeah. Oh, he's cremated.
Yeah.
So his cremains are in some type of
urn. We're back.
How about that?
What a great show today.
You know, it's just so wonderful to be a baby bloomer and to bloom where you're planted and to recognize the goodness.
Baby, speaking of babies, this is my 2-year-old son.
There's Benjamin!
That's right, that's right. And today is my daughter's birthday. And it's also the anniversary of me giving her away. So she got married on the same day as her birthday.
Yep, and now she's a proud mama of Benjamin, who's 2 years old, and Samantha, who's just now rolling over.
So we want to thank our guests.
Oh, we do. Pam Larry and Cheryl Hughes and Roxy Patterson and Kristen Estevane. We could not do this without your mother's hearts. And you, Jim Dandy.
Yeah, it's been great. It was fun producing the show today. Okay? It'll be all over YouTube. It'll be all over. This is a great time to become aware, and we're using social media as much as we can to convey these important information so we can give you enough information to make the right decision for your life. Okay?
Yes, tomorrow night in Quartz Hill is their very first farmers market. Starting tomorrow evening, I believe it's at 5.
Right.
And then Saturday, we have the Quartz Hill Chamber installation up at Hacienda Lane. That's going to be a hoedown, cracking good time. And next Friday night, it's the artist event that Roxy was talking about. And then June 22nd is our Palmdale Peaceful Gathering.
Is that a week from Friday?
That's a week from tomorrow is the artist event.
Well, then maybe can we get somebody here next week from the artist show?
We will not be here next Thursday.
That's right.
Next Thursday, we are not having a podcast. But we will be at the farmer's market and all around. So we'll see you back here when we land again. Have
Everybody,
a great couple of weeks.
Yeah, have a great weekend and do something for somebody.
Fathers.
Yeah.
Love the fathers around you.
Yes.